Hey, this is Anthony with Level 1 Gaming, and I'm really excited today to be reviewing Cronos: The New Dawn. Welcome to gripping and atmospheric classic sci-fi horror. I want to thank Bloober Team for the key, and let's get right into this. So it's been endearing to have followed Bloober Team for so long now, and watching their evolution and growth as a video game development studio. Founded in November 2008, they have always focused on atmospheric, psychological horror experiences. They have created multiple IPs, from the Layers of Fear series, The Medium, and Observer. And recently, they have been handed franchises like Blair Witch and last fall's fantastic Silent Hill 2 remake, with their work on a Silent Hill 1 remake recently announced. So, as a fan of the developers, it was exciting to see Cronos: The New Dawn announced and released seemingly out of nowhere within less than a year from announcement to release. Bloober Team had been working on this original IP all this time, which is the game we are focusing on today, Cronos: The New Dawn. To be fair, the survival horror genre doesn't have many large AAA or AA games being developed, especially outside of big franchises like Silent Hill F coming up later this month. The Dead Space remake did not sell well enough, and it was leaked out that EA cancelled a remake of the second game due to this, so a chance at that franchise continuing seems gone. It is with great excitement that Bloober Team is continuing their efforts in original survival horror with a brand new IP, which brings together the best the genre has to offer. This game takes from Dead Space, Resident Evil, and Silent Hill in all the best ways, all while creating a world that is horrifying as it is mysterious. So, come with me and let us explore the world of Cronos: The New Dawn, and see if this game meets the high expectations its influences have created over the many years. A mysterious future. You are the Traveler, a helmeted and mysterious humanoid that is part of an effort to fix the world. The world is now a wasteland. An apocalyptic event called the Change caused humans to turn into mutant creatures they named orphans. The game takes place specifically in Poland, with the Traveler traveling back in different points of time into the 1980s to extract individuals who have been selected by the organization that has sent you, the Collective. If this all sounds mysterious and ominous, it's because it is. The world they set up is not fully explained to you. The game does a great balance of showing and telling you about the past, present, and future of this world. You will find audio diaries, letters, notes, reports, and more to listen to and read, which provides clues and connections you will use to build your headcanon of what is happening. The game has a satisfying story and conclusion, but it still leaves a lot left unexplained, which is fine, unless we never see a second entry. But being left wanting more while feeling satisfied with the story told was a great feeling. There are also 3 total endings. 2 you can earn on regular runs, and the 3rd you can earn doing a New Game Plus run, which all extends replayability day 1, along with harder difficulty modes you can open up to. So many games launch these days without these types of features, so it was great to see them here after I saw my first ending. The world that Bloober Team has created here is absolutely gripping and engaging. Every inch of this world is ornamented with detail that enhances the realism of this alternate Eastern European Poland that they have chosen as the setting. their own home country. The architecture and art direction of the buildings, signage, homes, and more fit the 1980s setting perfectly, along with the location. Signs and more you'll find will all be in the proper Polish language, and you can just point and look at them to get a translation. You will also visit different time periods of the same areas, which provides new gameplay loops and areas to explore, along with its tie within the story itself and why you are there. The use of Unreal Engine 5 here is fantastic, with ray tracing and lighting being used to great effect here to create pitch-perfect lighting. One thing that drags down the look is the HDR and SDR look of the game. The default brightness in either mode is simply too bright. So please take some time and adjust the game to be a dark, good setting. A good spot to test this and adjust this is near the start of the game when the flashlight in your suit turns on for the first time. The room should be extremely dark, so make sure using that flashlight looks right in the room to help you adjust your settings. As I said, every inch of this game is greatly detailed, with everything creating a world unlike anything I have ever seen. It includes the sci-fi trappings of Dead Space, with the atmosphere of Silent Hill, and the impeccably designed levels and battle arenas in the modern Resident Evil and Dead Space remakes. This is one of the best looking games on any platform, including Switch 2, where I played it for a bit as well, where it looked and ran great, although at 30 frames per second, but was locked other than 2 locations for a tiny bit, which I found to be pretty heavy areas on PC, where I played with an i9 and a 4090. The sound is also industry leading. I used headphones to play through the entire game, and it is definitely the way to go, and recommended by the developers as well. Every corner of this world emits sounds that properly emit based on distance and direction. Even basic virtual surround options will enhance your experience with any set of headphones, so please do yourself a favor and use headphones. The sound of entering one of the biomass caves filled with flesh and bodies on the walls is such an unnerving experience, as you hear the damp, moist, and gross atmosphere, with dripping and fleshy sounds that are almost impossible to describe. It will haunt you. Run for your life. The core component that brings the entire experience together is the gameplay itself, the most important part of any survival horror experience. Cronos leans into the survival heavily, so if you find that recent games in the genre leave you flush with ammo and resources, you will be pleasantly surprised here. The game slowly ramps up your resources as it ramps up the difficulty, keeping a good balance between both, with a large battle wiping out large portions of your inventory, littered with periods of exploration to refill and craft. There is a good balance here that can be a bit harsh in the early game, along with some over-reliance on closed battle arenas in the early game that can drag things down a tiny bit, but keep going, survive, and push through. There is a wide variety of enemies called orphans, each with unique strategies to defeat them best. The best part of the gameplay loop and combat is slowly learning their patterns, attacks, and weaknesses, testing different weapons, finding which work best in combination with other tools you have. The weapons and tools you get are also extremely satisfying to use. They may seem weak at first, but they are all upgradable, and it won't take long as they become efficient killing machines. These include pistols, machine guns, shotguns, and devastating sci-fi weapons. I did find that the enemy feedback can be a tiny bit underwhelming sometimes. Some blood splatter and dismemberment would have helped a lot. After the Dead Space remake literally having skill peel away, or Doom the Dark Ages where enemies are gored to the bone, the enemy feedback felt a bit weak here. You also have a melee strike and ground stomp, like in Dead Space, but they are extremely weak. Not that I want to do a melee-only run, but it was useless to even get an enemy that was too close to back off for a moment, leaving in an entire system I didn't even touch, other than breaking open boxes for resources. Another fun part of the game is the gravity-changing experiences and puzzles. You'll be given tools to charge oddities that change the environment, like rebuilding a broken bridge, and it will slowly ramp up how it presents them in a fun way. This also allows you to rebuild things like explosive canisters during combat. It can be a bit slow, so it's fun to take the risk and get the great reward of using one to take out a few enemies all at once. There are also areas where you will use gravity boots to jump from areas a massive distance, turning you upside down, right side up, and allows the level designers to create absolutely brain-bending environments that is used to great effect. I felt they could have used it a bit more, with the final boss making the gravity jumping gameplay a core part of the combat loop without really ever doing that before. So you could see the potential that wasn't fully utilized, and then made the final boss a bit chaotic with unfair patterns and just feels too repetitive, leaving it as a war of attrition by the end versus any form of excitement. Another very important tool you have is a fire-based area of effect attack that will burn any enemy nearby. This is useful during combat to stun and weaken enemies and take them all out with one shotgun blast. However, more importantly, the enemies can also merge together if you do not burn the dead bodies. This reminded me of the Crimson Heads in the Resident Evil 1 remake. Not in how the enemies work, but the paranoia of leaving bodies behind that can come back to make things worse for you later. It was a wonderful mechanic, and you can stop merging by shooting an enemy using fire, and you will know they are preparing to do so as their body begins to wrap with tentacles and start to grab nearby bodies. If you let this process run freely, they will merge into larger and armored enemies that are much more difficult to kill. Some things I did find annoying was the turn speed for your character that can be a bit slow at times. There is no quick turn here, so it can be a bit painful dodging some quicker attacks or just when exploring and you just want to get going. It could also use it could use a tiny increase in speed. Increasing the look speed did help a lot. I also found the character getting stuck sometimes on the spot, with aiming sometimes helping to fix it. On Switch 2, I also had the save system entirely break down. Autosave stopped working, and so did manual saves. Restarting, the game and the system worked once to fix it, but after that, nothing could help and get it going again. The game overall feels a bit less polished than Silent Hill 2 Remake at launch last year, but it did just get its first major update the other day, but it still wasn't out for Switch 2 as of publishing and recording this video. Death is not the end. Cronos: The New Dawn is a fantastic survival horror experience. While some things like its melee system and difficulty spikes need some balancing, these are minor things that don't affect the overall game enough to be an issue. If anything, I think of these as recommendations to make the game perfect, as it is so well done. I wholeheartedly recommend this game if you like this genre or any of the games it has been inspired from. The game is also big. It took me almost 30 hours to finish the game on my first playthrough. I always take my time with games like these. I explored every nook and cranny, read everything, took lots of screenshots, videos, all while preparing notes and recording and writing this review. So if you're worried about games being too short or too long, I think Cronos is the perfect length with great pacing throughout. I cannot recommend this game enough. The early game can feel unbalanced and a bit repetitive, but that does not carry over to the entire game. It only gets better the more you play and becomes one of the best new survival horror video game franchises in over a decade. I give Cronos: The New Dawn a 9.2 out of 10. Going into specifics, I give the story a 93, gameplay an 89, graphics a 91, and sound a 96. You can check out the full written review on our website. This is Anthony at Level 1 Gaming. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out our reviews and more on our websites. And once again, thanks to Bloober for the key and for this amazing game. This is Anthony. We'll see you next time.